In today's episode, I'm telling you a case of a teenager who mercilessly beat her own grandmother. Now, this would normally be a Florida Man Friday, but I'm doing it for a midweek mini. Let's talk about the case of Sofia Koval. Welcome, lambs. Welcome to Love and Murder, Heartbreak to Homicide, the midweek mini edition. If you're new here, hi, my name is Kai, and I invite you to sit down, take a listen, and if you like it, go ahead and subscribe. If you're a returning lamb, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your support. Before we begin, I want to remind you that this episode and all of my episodes are sponsored by my lambs in Patreon, patreon.com/love and murder. Don't forget, there's a November sale going on in my Patreon right now where you get half off of my highest tier in there. So you get everything I put out in Patreon for only $5 a month. As long as you're in the Patreon, you'll stay grandfathered into that $5 a month Patreon tier. If you're ready to become part of my exclusive lambs, then head on over to patreon.com/love and murder and choose the November sale tier. You only have 3 more days for this, and then the sale ends and it goes back to the regular price. Patreon.com/love and murder. Now, without further ado, let's get into your midweek mini. In the early morning hours of May 23rd, 2024, police responded to a call about an unresponsive woman at a condo in Lauderdale Lakes, Florida. Yevheniia Koval, the woman's son, had gotten home just after midnight to find his mother, Yevheniia Koval, unresponsive on the floor. He called 911, and when police arrived, they discovered Yevheniia had multiple bruises, including abrasions on her neck and bruising on her face, arms, and legs. She was rushed to the hospital, where she was later pronounced dead. Later that day, Sofia Koval, Yevheniia's 14-year-old granddaughter, was admitted to the hospital for medical clearance. The Broward County Sheriff's Office initiated an investigation, and an autopsy revealed the extent of Yevheniia's injuries, which included head trauma, extensive bruising, internal bleeding, contusions of the scalp, hemorrhages on the scalp, bleeding in the brain. The medical examiner subsequently ruled the death as a homicide. By May 24th, just 1 day later, Sofia was taken into custody and charged with second-degree murder. The teen had told her father, Vladimir, that her grandmother had scratched her and she, quote, struck the victim several times with a belt. To defend herself, she then started crying and said she, quote, was sorry for what she had done. Your grandmother scratched you, so you started beating your grandmother with a belt? I don't know. My grandmother is from the Caribbean. If my grandmother scratched me, I take it. It is what it is. I'm not brave enough to lift a hand against that woman. I would lift a hand and then look and my hand would be gone. And not only would I have to contend with her, I'd have to contend with my mom. I would then have to contend with all of my mom's siblings, probably all my cousins, and my own sibling. Oh my God, no. You crazy? If my grandmother scratched me, then she scratched me. It is what it is. Due to Sofia's concerning behavior while in custody, including periods of agitation and aggression, authorities transferred her to a hospital for a behavioral health evaluation. So how do we go from an unresponsive woman to a murder charge in just 24 hours? Sofia had recently moved from war-torn Ukraine to Florida to live with her father and her grandmother. Her father had said that she had endured significant hardships during the war, which disrupted her education and her daily life. Spending considerable time alone while her mother remained in Ukraine also took a toll on Sofia's emotional well-being. Yeah, I can't imagine children, anybody but children in war-torn countries. That really mentally affects anybody, let alone children. At just 14 years old, Sofia ended up having to adjust to a new life in a new country with a new language, and then deal with the trauma of her experiences in Ukraine. I couldn't even imagine. Vladimir had reported, quote, behavioral issues which he believed are from the war she witnessed in Ukraine and her being separated from her mother. These issues included making up unverified stories about bullying and attempted rape, experiencing sleep disturbances, displaying aggression and behavioral problems at school, suffering from possible psychotic episodes. There were conflicted accounts about Sofia's relationship with her grandmother. Now, some people said that there were behavioral issues between her and her grandmother, And then neighbors described their relationship as seemingly normal and even loving. And that's the contrast for police, where it made it difficult to figure out what happened. What was the catalyst? Now, despite Vladimir's effort to secure mental health treatment for Sofia, it was too expensive for him. He couldn't afford it. Even with insurance, he couldn't afford it. And this is something that we actually need to look at. You know, mental health care is an important resource we do need, and we need to have like affordable options to go to, and not affordable options that, you know, you look online and see a 1-star review because it's affordable, they don't really care. I mean, actually people who care maybe donate some of their time here and there and you actually care about helping people with mental health issues. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Then on the evening before Yevheniia's death, Sofia's father had disciplined Sofia by taking her cell phone. So I guess like grounding, give me your phone, you'll have it back in a week. Later, and through a Ukrainian translator, Sofia told investigators she, quote, helped her grandmother die because, quote, she was already dying. And actually, in the reports that I read, it said that the person who translated it said this statement, like some of the words that she used was difficult to actually translate into English, but this was the gist of what she was saying. Police believe the belt Sofia allegedly confessed to using, along with her grandmother's walker, is what was involved in the attack. On May 29th, the prosecution formally charged Sofia with second-degree murder, but it was initially unclear whether she would be tried as an adult. In the following months, prosecutors and defense attorneys engaged in extensive discussions with Sofia's family. They were basically trying to figure out how to move forward and how the family wanted to move forward. On October 1st, prosecutors announced that Sofia would be charged as an adult with manslaughter and then transferred her from the juvenile detention center to the Broward County Jail. Both the prosecution and defense, both of them agreed to hold her without bond. It's rare when you see both prosecution and defense agree on anything. The manslaughter charge carries a maximum penalty of 15 years in prison. State Attorney Harold F. Pryor justified moving the case to adult court, citing the severity of the crime. Quote, because of the heinous nature of the crime, and after considering everything presented by the defense so far, I believe it is appropriate that this case should be handled in adult court and that juvenile sanctions were imposed. On October 30th, Sofia pleaded no contest to the manslaughter charge, and the court sentenced her to a maximum of 3 years in a Florida Department of Juvenile Justice facility, community supervision until she turns 21, and possible deportation after completing custody. Judge Thomas Coleman retained jurisdiction over this case and warned Sofia that any violations of her sentence could result in up to 15 years in adult state prison. So keep your nose clean, keep your hand clean, or I'm throwing the book at you. Vladimir supported the plea agreement, describing the case as a, quote, very, very difficult situation, and said that he, quote, fully supported the outcome and thanked the prosecution, defense, and judge for how they handled the case. I mean, yeah, that has to be really difficult. Your daughter killed your mother, but you see that, you know, it came from a mental health issue. It's not that she was just being a brat. She's gone through war. You don't know what happened to her mind in Ukraine, seeing all of this happen. And you actually have been trying to help her since she came down here. This horrible thing happened. You're thinking maybe it's a mental break. The courts are saying they're going to charge her as an adult, but ultimately, you know, they put her in juvenile detention center. That, as a parent, and they kept him in the loop. They asked him what he felt was best, and they kept him in the loop, and he had to make this decision for his child. So, yeah, saying it's a very, very difficult situation is putting it lightly. I couldn't even imagine being in that situation. I do commend him, though, because he brought his daughter here as soon as he could, and then he did try and get her mental health help. It's just he couldn't afford it. Like, you can't really knock somebody for that. When she's done with her sentence, Sofia will likely face deportation back to Ukraine as she's not a U.S. citizen. I don't know how scared she would be for that. To me, I think that would be worse than being in the juvenile detention center. Like if the war is still going on, I'm not saying Ukraine is like a bad place. I'm just saying if the war is still going on, you know what I'm saying? That must be more scary than being in a juvenile detention center, seeing your impending deportation. Now, if the war is over, then she might be happy just to go back home, you know? As a non-U.S. citizen, Sofia faces significant immigration consequences, including transfer to federal custody upon completing her juvenile detention, likely deportations to Ukraine, as I said before, and a minimum 5-year ban on getting readmitted to the United States. State Attorney Pryor addressed the resolution of the case saying, quote, "We considered all options and worked closely with the victim's family and with the defense attorney at the Broward Public Defender's Office to come up with an appropriate resolution that holds her accountable, but also factors in her age and the circumstances of this offense." And I think they did. Actually, for once in all 4 years I've been doing that, I actually think they did that. And in my closing statement, Attorney Kai says, I'm just playing, this case to me is like an intersection of trauma, mental health, and the law, you know? I mean, with everything going on with her, it does sound like she had like a mental break. And unfortunately, this is how it came out. And I just want y'all to keep in mind that Sofia's journey from war-torn Ukraine to the United States courtroom, you know, shows the challenges that are faced by a lot of children who go through conflict and war. And can you imagine being a child and just war is going on constantly behind you, around you? You can't go to school because your school's not there anymore. I get like really, you know what? So that's my closing statement. I actually had more to say, but honestly, I have no idea what to say on this. It's such a heavy topic in dealing with like, you know, war, in dealing with the civilians who actually have to live in war-torn countries and deal with this happening to them. It's such a heavy topic. And everybody has their opinions and so I don't even know how to like end this. So I'll just end it abruptly. What are your thoughts on this case? And as usual, speaking of your thoughts, let's get into your comments from previous cases. I had a case of Mikki D. Moody and Sean Moody. This was the case of some parents who were abusing their nonverbal autistic child. As usual, if you missed that case, you can just click on it in the show notes below. And Vicky Easton said, "You keep being you. I would love to be your friend and have chats. Just keep doing what you do, lady." Thank you so much, Vicky. I'm not that much of an interesting person. I don't talk that much, actually, which is shocking because I know I'm a podcaster. But I'm not that much, well, in my opinion, I'm not that much of an interesting person. So, but thank you for the love. I really like hearing it. Y'all don't understand. It keeps me going. But I do thank you for wanting to be my friend and chill with me, hang out and have chats though. So thank you, Vicky. And then I did an update episode that came out just randomly on a Thursday. And this one was the Susan Smith update. So in that update, I do have the link to the Susan Smith episode. So if you missed that episode, you could listen to it. And the update just talked about her parole. So if you missed that update, just click on the link in the show notes below. I think it was like 7 minutes long. It wasn't that long. Stacy Marie. I'm so happy to see your name here in the comments. Stacy Marie. It hasn't been so quiet without you. Is Christina Bobo took over your role, but I still missed you. So now I have Stacy Marie and Christina Bobo. Yes. And Vicky, I'm not discounting your message at all. It's just Stacy Marie and Christina Bobo. They're always like commenting. But anybody who even comments just once and never again, I am not discounting you at all. I appreciate everybody who sends comments. I love hearing from my lambs. I love getting the feedback. Keep them coming. If you don't have anything to say, I understand because most of the time I don't comment on the podcasts I listen to either. And sometimes people don't feel like typing, but you could actually record your comment and email it to me at noconductradio@gmail.com. I don't mind that either. Or I actually have an SOS button on my website. If you go on the homepage, you'll see it on the top right-hand corner. You could record, I think it's a 30-second message with that and send it to me there. So if you didn't want to type, you could actually talk. So let's get back to Stacey Marie's comment. Stacey Marie said, another parole board hearing in 2 years? What a joke. Clearly not changed and still putting men before her boys in death while in prison. You peep that, Stacey? I saw that too. Stacey Marie continues. Sick woman. Her husband is right. No remorse, and I hope he goes to every hearing and ruins everyone for her. Let's hope he's told of every hearing, though. You hear of them not telling families to try and release these POSs. I agree with you, Stacey. Sometimes they do try to not get the family there, but if you remember, the original prosecutor was there and he said he'll always be there. So because he's law, he'll have the insight on it. I'm guessing. And he more than likely will be at every single one. And even if they don't tell the ex-husband, he'll tell the ex-husband. So either way, I think they're going to fight to keep her in. 'Cause yeah, with the update I gave, you can clearly tell she didn't, she cried and she said the words, but the actions don't match the words. You know what I'm saying? So it's like she clearly doesn't feel remorse for what she did. Like, oh, I shouldn't have killed my kids because I wanted to be with a dude who didn't have kids. I'm so sorry for what shut the fuck up. You had so many options. If you wanted to be with a dude who didn't have kids, you could have given those kids to their father and been like, hey, take these children. I'm out. I want to live my life with somebody else. Deuces. You could have done that. You didn't have to kill them. You could have dropped them off at your mom's house. You could have dropped them off at his mom's house. You could have even dropped them off at a hospital and just been like, here you go. I don't want to be charged for this. Also, I'm anonymous. Deuces. Like, you had so many options and you chose murder. So completely 2 middle fingers to you, ma'am. Like, I don't want to see your crocodile tears. So if you missed that update, click on the link in the show notes below. And if you missed that episode, that's also in the show notes. Well, to the update, that's also in the show notes of the update. So you can listen to the full case. So let me know what you think about this episode. Don't forget to go back and listen to those other 2 episodes in the show notes below, or any other old episodes you want to listen to. Oh my God, please stick with season 4. The seasons before, season 3 was all right. Season 1 and 2, I hang my head in shame, but we were just figuring it out. But I have a whole 4 years for you to go back. Season 5 is starting in 6 weeks, maybe? Season 5 is almost here. Oh my God, I can't believe I've been doing this for 5 years. But I do have a whole slew of backlog episodes for you to go to. Or if you want more episodes, I have another slew of backlog bonus episodes for you to go through into Patreon. Christina Bobo is in there, like, going through all of my previous episodes. And I'm pretty sure all the rest of you who signed up using the bonus sale is doing it too. I'm just saying Christina Bobo because she leaves comments. So if you want more Kai, I don't know why you would. If you want more true crime, join our Patreon right now. There's only 3 more days of the sale left. Patreon.com/love and murder. Choose the November sale tier where you'll get ad-free and intro-free episodes. You'll get case extras. So if the case has courtroom videos, pictures of the crime scene, pictures of the perps and the victims and all of that, you get that. Documents, all of that. If the case has that, you get that in the case extras. You get bonus episodes, you get bonus Kai rants. Just the bonus Kai rants are rants that I don't even put out on just the regular platform. It's just craziness. You get behind the scenes, you get bloopers, you get to see videos of my life. So whatever I did for the month, if I did anything, you get to see that. I have video in there of October. I went to Comic-Con and I also went to something else. I went to a zoo, but in this zoo, you got to feed the giraffes. I took video of feeding them, of how tall they were. And then we saw a red panda, which they're endangered. Oh, it was so cute. And it came right close. It was so, anyways, you have that in there. Then I just started new things where, you get to know me, where I answer your questions or questions I found on the internet. We play Would You Rather. We're doing quizzes, games, just a bunch of stuff going on in the Patreon. And it's only for $5 a month if you join with the November sale, which you only have 3 more days to do. I mean, what could you lose? Fun? Patreon.com/Love and Murder and choose the November sale tier. And don't forget, a free and easy way of helping this podcast out is simply by sharing this episode. So we have a saying to share with everyone you know and everyone you don't. So just go ahead and hit share. Share it in your text messages and share it in your WhatsApp. And then go over to our social media, Instagram, YouTube, or TikTok, and choose one of our clips and share it on your social media. Everyone you know and everyone you don't. And that is all I have for you today. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.